About passing your driver's test, the skills and abilities that you need to be successful on your driver's test, your on-road driver's test. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about your learner's permit, what you need to do to pass that, and to answer the multiple choice questions correctly. We're going to put all of that together tonight, give you the information that you need to be successful on your driver's test, and not only be successful on your driver's test, but also be a safer, smarter driver after you get your license. So what we do here is answer all your questions. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what class of license you're going for, what we can help you with. We'll answer all your questions, and then after the presentation, 10 or 12 minutes for the presentation, then we'll come back and we'll spend the rest of the hour answering any of your questions that you have about being successful on passing a driver's license. Smart Drive Test, have passed your driver's test first time course package available over at the Smart Drive Test website. Pick that up for about $38 US. Guaranteed to pass first time. Simple step-by-step instructions to be successful on your driver's test. It'll give you the information. You can work with your mentor, go through the course step by step as well to be safer and smarter after you get your license and to reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. We also include both the winter and defensive driving smart courses. Marion's tuning in from the Sunshine Coast. Elevator Fan is here from Monticello, Indiana. Mallory's tuning in from the Maritimes. My good friend Mallory, she's here on a regular basis, and I would like to thank her for being part of the Smarter Driver community. Rob is tuning in, doing excellent. Vanilla's here. Francesca, you've been awesome, my friend. Thank you. And Elevator Fan is Camp Weekend this Friday. Awesome. So lots going on. Hi, my name is John. If you're tired of calling me hi, thanks for that, John. And we will call you John. I'll just try and remember. Rob, Dr. Rick, yes, I do have a PhD in legal history, which is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. And my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. And we'll talk a little bit more about that during the presentation. Brooklyn tuning in from Philly. And we're so happy to hear that we were able to help you out, my friend, in learning how to drive. Noah's tuning in from Worcester, Massachusetts. Polo is here. I watched you when I was getting my G2 years ago. Any tips with dealing with road rage? Yes, we can talk about road rage as well tonight and help you out with that. Definitely tips. The first tip with road rage is do not engage, okay, with the other person. Do not make eye contact. Do not talk to them. Do not get your phone out and take pictures of them unless you are at risk of, physical injury, that there's going to be a physical altercation. But again, do not engage. Do not unlock the car doors. Do not roll down your window. All of that applies in terms of road rage. Now, if they're going to use their car as a battering ram or they're going to pull the mirrors off your car, those types of things, think of it like this, because I've seen incidents of videos on Twitter and Facebook and those types of things. We've seen all of those where, cyclists get into a rage and they pull the mirror off the side of the car and those types of things. Listen, if it's just property damage that you can easily fix, cars can be fixed. You can't. Okay, so think of it that way. Elevator Fan, left lane squatters can cause road rage. Yes, they can. Just ask Tracy. When they're sitting out there, camped out there in the left-hand lane and they refuse to move over. Yes, very upsetting. All right. Rob, I have a PhD in Bible college, but I'm going for bachelor's online in history. All right, excellent. That's great news. And Corey is here. Corey is the moderator. Does an excellent job of getting up the videos I suggest you have a look at for more details on the questions that you ask. So Corey does an excellent job of doing that as well. Sometimes he even goes off and does some Googling of some stuff if I don't know the answer right away for you. So Corey's here and as well keeps out the bad people. Once you get to a certain size here on YouTube, the spammers like to come out and do all kinds of wonderful things and put all kinds of nasty comments in the feed and whatnot. So Corey's put up the link there for the Smarter Driver course. Thank you for that, Corey. Vanilla, just simply ignore road rage, get out of their way. Yes, if you can get out of their way, that's going to be the best thing to do. Now, funny story about road rage. When I'm driving a car, I am very calm. I'm just like, yeah, just go and have your crash somewhere else. I ride my bicycle a lot. I walk a lot. As a pedestrian, as a cyclist, I go from a 0 to 1,000 in like that, like in an instant. So one of the roads that we have that goes to jiu-jitsu, and I ride my bicycle to jiu-jitsu, and they've cordoned it off with these concrete delineators, these, you know, those big ones they put on the back of trucks. Riding up there at noon, and of course the 7-Eleven is between where I'm going to jiu-jitsu and the high school. So at noon, of course, all of the students are coming back from the 7-Eleven, getting their Slurpees and their chocolate bars and what other snacks they're getting at 7-Eleven. And they're walking along this supposedly shared bike path, you know, walkers and cyclists, and in groups of like 8 or 10. And of course, I'm trying to ride my bicycle up there, and I'm going nice and slow, giving them lots of time to lift their head up and go, hey, oh, we need to move over to one side so the person can get by. And I was going by, and I wasn't going very fast. And this kid stuck his leg out in front of me, thinking, oh, I'm being all smart. Oh, like I said, 0 to 1,000. And I just stopped the bike. I turned around, and I was like this far from his face. And I was like, what do you think you're doing? And he was just like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah, that's how people get hurt. I was just like, that's my road rage. And I've had quite a number of road rage incidents on my bicycle because, you know, you're vulnerable. And other people just don't realize the vulnerability. Because I've been run over, I've been run into, I've been doored. I've had the whole gamut on my bicycle. So not just motorcycles at this time of the year, cyclists and pedestrians as well. And where are we going to encounter those cyclists, those vulnerable road users? We are most likely to intersect with them at intersections. Okay, not just on these supposed shared bike paths, but also at intersections. So be especially careful. Map and track road users at intersections. All right. Vanilla, tell us more about your book. Give us a sneak peek. Okay. I will definitely do that next week for you. I might even be able to do that right now. I'll see if I can multitask and pull that up for you and kind of go through it with you here, and we'll do that for sure. All right. Shawshank. Good evening. I am having trouble in judging who stopped first in a four-way stop. It's a little confusing. Any tips to quickly process who stopped first correctly, please? Okay, so yes, four-way stops can be confusing at the beginning of learning how to drive. Absolutely no doubt about that. Corey will put up the videos for you on stop signs, four-way stop sign intersections. My first counsel to you is to go to one in your neighborhood that isn't too far away, stand there and just watch traffic for 10 or 15 minutes, okay? And that will give you an idea of how traffic moves through four-way stop signs, because they're a little bit goofy, all right? The other piece is as you're approaching the four-way stop, just map and track the other cars as they're coming towards the four-way stop sign intersection, all right? And just who's ever there first. And it doesn't matter if you make a mistake about who gets there first or who's on the right or those types of things. Just pause, okay? If you pause for like 2 seconds or 3 seconds, the other vehicle is going to go, okay? They're not going to honk at you. Well, they might, but I mean, just ignore them. Just let them go first and let them go and have their crash somewhere else. That's what you need to do for the purposes of keeping yourself safe at four-way stop sign intersections. All right. VAMC, is Smarter Driver Course Package and Past Driver's Test First Time the same course? If not, what's the difference? I want to buy the course. Okay. VAMC, thank you for asking for that clarification. Pass Your Driver's Test First Time is just one course, okay? And it's $37. If you want to buy that course plus the 2 bonus courses, Defensive Driving and Winter Driving Smart, that's the package, okay? And Corey put up the link, just checking here. Yes, Corey put up the link for the package. So buy the package, because that way you get all 3 courses, all right? That's the difference between those two. Thank you for asking that and clarifying that. Vanilla, yes, it's usually who's first. And the other thing that's a little weird about four-way stop sign intersections is one lane of traffic will go and then the other lane of traffic will go. Okay, so it's straight through traffic over turning traffic and then right turning traffic over left turning traffic. And once you figure it out, it's fairly simple. But at the beginning, as I said, it can be quite daunting for four-way stop sign intersections. Presentation. Talking to you tonight about passing your driver's test first time, the skills and abilities that you need to be successful and not fail. You don't want to hear those dreaded words from the examiner that you did not pass your driver's test. All right, you want to get your driver's test first time. Put in the time, do the work, and pass first time, because if you don't do it right the first time, when are you going to find the time to do it the second time? It's just a pain to go back and do it, rebuild your self-confidence, practice again, and get another driver's test. In some places it's not too hard, but in other locations it can be fairly difficult to get another driver's test. So know that. All right, for those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver in the 1990s, hauling freight between Ontario, Canada, and the United States. Worked for one company for quite a few years, hauling office furniture, so I got into the downtown areas of Chicago and New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Tampa, Florida, places like that, all up and down the eastern seaboard. I did drive mostly east of the Mississippi, but I did make it out to the West Coast a few times. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997 in a bid to come off the road because I was driving over the road truck driving, and I was gone for a couple of weeks at a time, and I wanted to, try and be home every night, at least every couple of days. Went back to school in the early 2000s to finish my university degree because I had dropped out. I only needed 3 credits. I did a full load and then realized I really liked what I was doing when I was older, because university didn't really work out for me when I was in my 20s, but I went back in my 30s, got accepted to the graduate program at the University of Melbourne, went there for about 8 months, and I was studying, doing my work, and then I realized that I could upgrade from a master's degree to a PhD with a presentation to my supervisors that, in fact, I had enough breadth and width on my topic, and convinced them that I could upgrade to a PhD, that in fact I did have enough depth in my topic, and upgraded to a PhD, and in 2006 graduated with my doctorate in legal history. As I said in the introduction, the study of policing, courts, and prisons. My expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. While I was going to university, I drove buses for Greyhound, one of the regional bus lines there in Australia. Drove between Melbourne and Parkes, New South Wales, which is the halfway point between Melbourne and Brisbane. I also drove to Canberra and to Sydney, Australia. I can tell you some funny stories about getting lost in Sydney, Australia, that's for sure. And it's not on a grid, especially down on what they call the rocks underneath the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It's the famous picture you always see with the Sydney Harbour Bridge in the background and the Sydney Opera House on the left. All right, and then in 2015, after a time at the universities and a time going back to the truck driving schools, I started the online YouTube channel, the online business, and it has been wildly more successful than I could have imagined. Good stuff to have a look at. Would you pass your driver's test? Is the podcast over at the Smarter Drive Test website. Actually, sorry, I put the wrong link down there. This is actually a blog about would you pass a driver's test. If you've passed a driver's test and you haven't done any driver training in the last 5 or 6 years, it's unlikely that most people who've had their license for 5 or 6 years and are not involved in any driver training would not pass a driver's test. There's just too many specific skills that you need to be successful on a road test. Have a look at the traffic signs here as well. There's 20 traffic signs and their meanings and a deeper understanding of how traffic patterns are influenced by these traffic signs. So have a look at that as well. Really good stuff there. All right. The first thing you need to do to get your driver's license is you need to take a knowledge test. And the knowledge test allows you to get your learner's permit, which allows you to be in the vehicle and practice with a mentor or a driving instructor. And this is another thing. Vanilla asked me about this, about the book. One of the things I talk about in the book, there's a chapter on your people, which talks about mentors, driving instructors, and driving examiners, and what's the difference between each one of those, and what role do they play in you getting a driver's license. So the knowledge test is multiple choice. Usually, almost always, there are 4 options for the question. If you got to read them, pick out the key words, and then pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. So signs, signals, and road markings, you're going to have questions on terminology, which are complex intersections, painted islands, slip lanes, sometimes called right turning lanes, advanced greens, who has the right of way, and the driving task, which the 6 components of the driving task are the driver, the vehicle, traffic, the road, light, and weather, and all of those 6 things are going to combine to give you different scenarios every day that you're driving. And Corey's put up the video for 20 common traffic signs in their meeting. Have a look at that, and thank you for doing that, Corey. That's awesome. Okay, there are 4 components to your driver's test, and not only to your driver's test, but also to defensive driving. Speed management, space management, observation, and communication. You have to have these 4 components in place or you will not be successful on your driver's test. If you participate in social driving, which is the way that everybody else drives on the roadway, not coming to a complete stop at stop sign intersections, driving above the posted speed limit, following too close, driving over painted islands, just to name a few. If you participate in social driving, you will not be successful on your driver's test. You have to drive different than the way that everybody else on the roadway is driving. Space management is probably the most. These are not in order here, but space management, if you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. Observation, you have to have calm awareness. You need to be scanning all around your vehicle and in front of your vehicle. So calm awareness, you need to be scanning and mapping intersections and looking for other road users. You need to communicate effectively when you're driving. There's 5 ways that you do that. Position of your vehicle, lights and signals, eye contact, hand gestures, and signals. And then speed management, the flow of traffic or the posted speed limit, whichever is less is how fast you are going to drive on your driver's test. Slow speed maneuvers. 7/8 of the road test is in a forward motion. 1/8 of the driver's test is the slow speed maneuvers, which is going to give you the most grief. Parallel parking, 3-point turns, reverse parking, 2-point reverse turns, and U-turns. You should know all of these. Now, the absolute minimum maneuvers that you're going to do for a driver's test are parallel parking, 3-point turn, backing into a parking spot. You need to know those at minimum. The other ones, parking along a curb, 2-point reverse turn, or U-turns, are up to the discretion of the driving examiner. If he or she wants to get you to do a 2-point turn, you need to know how to do a U-turn or do a 2-point reverse turn. So the other piece about this is if you practice slow speed maneuvers, it's going to improve your overall driving. I know it's not sexy, but 20% in, 80% out. So spend some time on these. Requirements of a road test: holding the vehicle in the lane, observing and shoulder checking, responding to changing traffic conditions, and there are unexpected events that will happen on your driver's test, such as dealing with yellow lights, turning right on a red light, emergency vehicles, and other unexpected events. And talking about emergency vehicles, you must get to the nearest shoulder as quickly as possible and bring the vehicle to a stop. If you do not, that is an automatic fail on a driver's test. Now, if you're learning to drive in Chicago, Illinois, or New York City, or Dallas, Texas, you're probably going to deal with emergency vehicles every day that you're driving. If you're taking your test in Duluth, Minnesota, you are not going to be dealing with emergency vehicles every day. You're going to be dealing with them every now and again. So you're going to have to practice enough that eventually you hit an emergency vehicle and you know what to do. All right, and when you pull over to the side of the road, I also would advise you to put on your 4-way flashers, and we can talk a little bit about that after the presentation about when to use your 4-way flashers. Abilities for a driver's test: 2 hands on the steering wheel for the duration of the test. Unless, of course, you're driving a manual transmission, you can take the one hand off the shift. Okay, stopping in a line of traffic, you must stop approximately 1 vehicle length from the vehicle in front of you. Okay, stopping at the correct stopping position at controlled intersections, behind the stop line, behind the crosswalk lines, if there's a sidewalk, behind the sidewalk. If those 2 conditions don't exist, then you must stop at the edge of the road right before entering the intersection. Okay, yellow traffic lights. Remember, yellow traffic lights is not the end of a green, it's the beginning of a red. If you can do so safely, bring your vehicle to a stop. You need to know the difference between controlled and uncontrolled intersections. Controlled intersections are any intersections that are controlled by a stop sign, a yield sign, or traffic lights. Uncontrolled intersections are the opposite of that. They don't have any signs or traffic lights. You need to understand right-of-way. General right-of-way on a driver's test straight through traffic over turning traffic, right turning traffic over left turning traffic, and major roads over minor roads. Those are general, and I repeat again, general right-of-way rules. Slow speed maneuvers. After you've practiced for a few weeks, go back and revisit the slow speed maneuvers, okay? So at the beginning, do the slow speed maneuvers. It's going to help you out with your turning, your driving, and whatnot. And then drive around for a few weeks, get your driving, and then in the couple of weeks before your driving test, go and revisit the fundamentals. Go back to doing the slow speed maneuvers rather. Your parallel parking, your reverse stall parking, your 3-point turns, and your 2-point reverse turns. If you can find a quiet area where you can back up in a straight line for a couple of blocks, do that as well. Here where I live, we have a lot of back alleys. These are excellent for backing up for a couple of blocks for drivers. And a lot of drivers don't ever do this. But it is an excellent, excellent learning tool. So do that for me as well, please, to get better. Okay, so driving lessons. You can take driving lessons, and I do advise you, if you're not going to take driver training, at least book one lesson with a driving instructor. Okay, you can take whole classes, package of 10. They will do everything, take you out, pick you up at school, take you out and drive around and give you the instruction that you need to learn how to drive a car. Keep in mind that driving lessons with a driving instructor are like taking classes at a university. For every hour of driving instruction, be sure that you do 3 or 4 hours of driving and practice the skills that you learned during the driving instruction. Now, I know that this is ideal and that most people don't do this, but this is the way that driving lessons are set up. It is not set up so that you take 10 driving lessons with a driving instructor and you start at the first day and then you learn and you know everything you need to know about driving on lesson 10. That's not the way that this is set up at all. Okay, so individual lessons, you can take 1 or 2 lessons here and there, and then a mock road test if you want to go in and you've been practicing on your own with your mentor and looking at videos or taking the Smarter Driver course package over at the Smart Drive Test website. You can go in and book 1 lesson with a driving instructor, and he or she will take you on the test route, and they will give you feedback on the skills and abilities that you need to be successful on passing your driver's test. All right. Get as much practice as possible during your learner's phase, because most people are going to be in a learner's phase from 180 days to a full year. At the beginning months, and I know most people don't do this, I know they wait until 6 to 8 weeks before their driver's test, but if you do, try and practice in as many different vehicles as you can and try and practice in as many different environments as you can. As well, secondary controls for your driver's test. Know how to turn on the windshield wipers. They work and squirt. Okay, they squirt water on the windshield, and you can clean it. Know how to turn on your high-low beam headlights, and as well know how to turn on the defrost in the vehicle, air conditioning for the summertime. Because what that tells the driving examiner, if you don't know how to turn on the defrost, it tells the driving examiner that you don't have a great deal of driving experience because you don't know how to turn on the defrost, you don't know how to turn on the windshield wipers. So practice and know how to do that, and as well practice when you're driving to be able to turn on the windshield wipers without actually having to look around inside the vehicle. The good, the bad, and the ugly about driver's tests. Sometimes bad drivers pass tests, okay? They got minimal skills. They go in, they take the test. Everything goes swimmingly right in the traffic environment. There's nothing that requires any high level of skill. They don't hit any yellow lights. They don't have to make a right turn on a red light. There's no emergency vehicles. There's no intersections that are backed up, and they just squeak by and they pass. Other times, something happens in the driving environment, and those students who have practiced a lot do not pass their driver's test because something unexpected happened during the test that they simply couldn't deal with. Now, the advice that I give you, first and foremost, if something happens, you make a mistake, keep going until the driving examiner tells you to stop. Okay? Don't get caught up in your mistake. Keep going until the driving examiner tells you to keep going. The second piece is, if the traffic situation becomes overwhelming, simply stop the car and wait for the situation to clear and then proceed. Too many new drivers get on a driver's test, they get really nervous, and then they just push forward, and then unfortunately they fail. Okay, so stop the vehicle. All right, so practice driving test with a driving instructor. Driving schools are very busy, so book about 3 weeks out for your practice driving test. Book it 7 to 10 days before your actual test, and that way you don't have to rebuild confidence if you failed your driver's test. Because as I said, on a mock driver's test, driving instructors will give you feedback. They will take you on the test route. They're not going to tell you that they're going to take you on the test route, but they will. And they will get you to do the slow speed maneuvers at the exact same places where the examiners do. That's what we get paid for as driving instructors. We get paid to know where driving examiners take you to do slow speed maneuvers, what the routes are in and around the test centers. So hire a local driving instructor if you're not taking driver training already. It's going to just pay dividends. All right, learn the basics. Luck favors the prepared. Charlie, who's one of the students I trained here, and Charlie did a lot of work to get his driver's license. He worked with me, did lessons. You can see those videos here on the channel. There's one funny situation with Charlie where we're driving down a road, a kind of quiet residential road, and there were birds on the road, and he stopped because he didn't think the birds could fly away. And I kept saying that, okay, you can go, birds fly, birds fly. So Charlie, have a look at those. He also took some driving lessons with another driving instructor, another driving school in town. So he was completely prepared on the day that he took his test, and he passed first time. Okay, you must master the basics and prepare for the opportunity. Do the work. All right, do the work. The night before your driver's test, get a good night's sleep. Bring your documentation, your license, another piece of ID just in case something goes wrong. If you wear prescription glasses, bring those. Money. Okay, some people will have their school that will pay for it, but for most of us, we have to pay for our driver's test, and then you have to pay to have your license administered after you pass. If signs don't prohibit it, back into the parking space at the DMV. Some busier places in New York City and whatnot, you're just going to pull up along the curb and wait for the examiner to come out to you. And as I said previously, keep going on your driver's test until the examiner tells you to stop. Okay? Take away the driving examiner's right to fail you. Nothing less, nothing more. And there's a picture of Charlie after he passed his driver's license. All right, so good luck on your driver's test. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Yimika, Rick's video helped me pass my driver's test in April. That is awesome. Thank you for stopping back and letting us know that you were successful on passing your driver's test. Elevator fan, if the examiner intervenes before you, that is an automatic fail on a driver's test. Yes, it is. If the examiner takes control of the vehicle, either moves the steering wheel or puts the selector into neutral or intervenes verbally, that is an automatic fail on a driver's test. You do not want a driving examiner intervening in your driving. My friend Klaus is here from Germany. We don't have four-way stops in Germany. The last thing we would need here, because many drivers don't even know the 1.5 meters rule for cyclists. You have to switch lanes to pass them. Yeah, I know. And it's interesting. And I've ridden in Scotland. It's not the same as mainland Europe. Or in Europe, rather. And yeah, some of those roads are pretty narrow for sure. So yeah, there's that. Yimika, insurance companies ask for driving school certificates when quoting a price. Driving school certificates reduce your premiums as a new driver. Speaking from my experience, and yes, for some places, having driver training and having defensive driving courses are definitely going to reduce the cost of your insurance. And for new drivers, you want any discount that you can get, because insurance is incredibly expensive for new drivers. I've just heard exorbitant numbers for new drivers getting insurance for their car. So here we go. The way that you get cheaper insurance as a new driver, I mean, most of you are probably just going to have your parents, and you're going to be added to your parents' insurance, which is going to make it affordable. The other way, if you do buy your own vehicle, do not get a loan on your vehicle. As most companies that will loan you money, give you a car loan, are going to require that you have collision on your vehicle. So there's 3 or 4 different types of insurance. So the absolute minimum insurances that you have to have are PL and PD, so public liability and property damage. Public liability is you get into a crash, you injure somebody, and then they sue you for $2 or $3 million. You have to have public liability. You have to have property damage. Okay, so you run into somebody's house and you cause $50,000 worth of damage. Your insurance has to be able to pay for that, pay for the cars and any other damage. So PL and PD are the absolute minimums. You have to have those two insurances. And then after that, you can get fire, theft, and collision. Okay, so those three are optional: fire, theft, and collision. If you get a car loan, you have to have a collision. Collision insurance is if you drive down the road and you drive into a utility pole and you do $4,000 worth of damage on your car, then the insurance will pay to fix your vehicle, no questions asked, because you have collision insurance on it. The issue with collision insurance is that, say, for example, that you're paying $1,500 a year for car insurance. As soon as you put collision on your insurance, now your insurance goes from $1,500 a year to $3,000 a year. Now, if you're somebody who's not tolerant to risk, go ahead, get a collision insurance on your vehicle. Me personally, I've never ever had collision insurance on my vehicle. If you have a car loan, you're going to have to put collision insurance on your vehicle. My suggestion to you, and one of the ways that you can get cheaper insurance, is to buy an older vehicle outright. So there's no car loan on it. So it's a $3,000, $4,000 vehicle. You pay for it outright, and there's no loan on it. That way you can put just property damage and public liability insurance on it, and it's going to be incredibly cheaper for you to drive your car and to pay for insurance. So that's the two ways, one of the ways that you can get cheaper insurance. And then, of course, just keep your record clean. No speeding tickets, no actions contrary to signs or those types of things. And that way you're going to keep your insurance premiums as low as you can. Dylan, your driver's test was easy. That's probably because you're a good driver. You've done lots of work and practice for your driver's test. Awesome. And where did you take your driver's test, Dylan? Just let us know in there in the comments. James, I have my driver's test tomorrow in Illinois State. Could you please suggest me some good tricks or things I should keep in mind? I am quite nervous. James, yes. Show up early. Are you okay? James, just let me know. Are you taking your own vehicle or are you going with the driving school? Just let me know that in the comments here. Champion, what's the best car truck to buy for first timers? Champion, it depends what you. It's kind of a personal preference. What you're like. I mean, give me 2 or 3 cars that you like, and I'll kind of go through those for you because I have my own biases about cars and those types of things. Griffin, do you have to parallel park in the state of Illinois for the purposes of a road test? Yes, you do, Griffin. You do have to parallel park. Vanilla, which car is the best for first-time drivers that has low maintenance? Anything that's a Toyota, anything that's a Honda. I'm not sure about Hondas, though, in the last 10 years. Maybe some of the other smart drivers can make some suggestions here about Hondas and what their feelings are about them in the last 10 years. Mine is 25 years old, so it's been a great car. It's a first generation CRV. So, yes, good vehicles. James, you're going in your own vehicle. Okay, so give it a wash, give it a vacuum. Okay, nice shower. Put on clean clothes when you go down for your driver's test, okay? First impressions. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression, and we all have our biases, and driving examiners are the same, okay? Show up 20 to 30 minutes early. I forgot to ask you where you're taking your driver's test. If it is a test center and they do have a parking lot and those types of things, back in so that way you can drive out of the parking lot. Make sure that you signal when you drive out. And as well as I've talked about previously, the first 5 minutes of your driving test are the most important, okay? When you show up, the driving examiner comes out. They're going to do a little mini pre-trip on your car. So make sure that you do the pre-trip inspection. Corey will give you the link for the checklist for the pre-trip inspection. You have to do a pre-trip inspection because the examiner is going to do one. Check all your lights, your signals, your brake lights. Make sure that the seatbelt works on the passenger side. Make sure the seat works, the door opens and closes. Make sure you have registration insurance for your car, okay? Because you don't want to be denied your driver's test because something's out, the brake light isn't working or whatnot. So make sure that you do that pre-trip inspection. Your vehicle's clean, especially in this day and age of post-COVID. Okay, just give it a quick vacuum. I mean, most of these wash places, it's clean and those types of things. And then just do what you need to do for your driver's test, okay? Just keep going until the examiner tells you to stop. You get back to your thing. And again, if you get into a situation where you can't handle the traffic situation, just stop, okay? And keep going until the examiner tells you to stop, okay? Where we go? Okay, so champion, trucks, Silverado, F-150, cars, Kia, Honda. Okay, Hondas are good. Trucks, the half-ton trucks, you're going to get into a bit more expense, especially in terms of maintenance. They're not going to get as good a fuel mileage. That's the downfall of trucks. Pickup trucks, I know they're great. Cars, Kias, Hondas. I don't know a whole lot about the Kias. I do know a lot about Hondas. I have one. I've had the first generation Honda CR-Vs for a long time. I don't know, if you live in a place that's got a lot of salt and those types of things, because Honda CR-Vs, where I live here in the West, we have a lot of them on the road. 200 plus thousand miles on most of these things. The thing is in the East, where they put a lot of salt and stuff that corrodes cars and whatnot, there's not a lot of them there. So I don't know what your chances of getting one of those. But Kias, again, I would do some research on the internet. Just type it in. Just type Kia reviews on those and just see what they come back with for you. As well, the other piece about buying a car, and Corey will put up the videos for you on buying used cars. If you're going to buy a secondhand vehicle and you have an opportunity to take it to an independent shop and you can get an inspection done on it, I always recommend that people do that, because it's about $110. They'll pull the tires, they'll look at the brakes, they'll put it on the hoist, they'll look underneath it, the exhaust, they'll be able to tell you if it needs a new exhaust, catalytic converters, if it's leaking oil, those types of things. They can give you a kind of a breakdown on it and see if anything needs to be fixed or repaired. And now, know the other thing, that on when you're buying a secondhand vehicle, a used vehicle, there's some costs that you can figure out. So say, for example, it needs tires. Okay, it needs tires. Tires are, if you're getting a pickup truck, it's going to cost you $1,200, $1,500 for a set of tires. If you got a smaller vehicle, a Toyota Corolla or something like that, it's probably going to cost you $800, $900 for a set of tires. That's a known cost. One vehicle that I looked at, the reverse lights didn't work. That was an electrical issue. You don't know that cost, okay? So you may want to walk away from it. I mean, the other thing is inspect the vehicle, have a look at it, worn seats and whatnot. Every vehicle tells a story about whether it's been looked after or not. You want to get as much paperwork as you can, and maintenance records and whatnot. See if the oil's been changed on a regular basis. If they've taken it to the same shop, get the records from that shop and whatnot. So those are some tips. And again, look at the two videos. Corey will put those up for you. Sam, yes, it is very busy. busy tonight for sure. Bridget, to anyone who has no one to help them driving lessons, you got this. Keep trying. You get the road some way and watching driving videos. Awesome. Thanks, Bridget, for that encouragement to other people. Elevator fan, the driving examiner might bring you out on the highway if you live close to the highway or interstate. And yes, they will. If the highway or interstate is within 10-minute drive of the DMV office, yes, they may very well take you out onto the highway or interstate. Lucid, advice for buying a car from an auction or used dealers. Okay, I just went through most of that. Most used dealers, you can take it to an independent mechanic, and I would suggest you do that. Auctions, I don't have any advice for you from auctions. I've never bought a car from an auction. For those smart drivers that have bought cars from auctions or have experience, please leave a comment down in the comment section there to answer that, and that will definitely help you out. Klaus, I was thinking about to buy an old 95 Volkswagen Golf, turbo diesel with a 5-gear speed. This car was cheap but would need a little bit of work. Then I say, no thanks, I drive a 1997 Audi A6. Yes, drive the Audi. I know that Volkswagen and Audi belong to the same company, but if you can drive an Audi, drive an Audi. Dope. I failed my driving test today. Okay, you were unsuccessful, my friend. You did not fail. Okay, simply an unsuccessful attempt. You're going to get it next time for sure, my friend. Okay, take a day, be down, carry on, and you're going to be absolutely awesome. Corey's put up the link there for how to buy a used car from a private seller. Definitely have a look at that. Just on that note of Audis and used cars and independent shops, when we bought the Audi from the Volkswagen dealership, what was I going to say? We did take it to an independent shop because the suspension had been lowered on it and it had a modified exhaust on it. So we wanted to make sure all that work had been done correctly. and it was a 2014 Audi S4. Quite frankly, the fastest car I've ever driven. It's just like, it's got a supercharged V6 engine in it. It is just crazy fast. So we took it into independent mechanic. They said it was great. Years ago, I bought a lifted, I want to say 1995 Toyota 4Runner. I don't know whether it was a 1995 or not. But anyway, I took it to an independent mechanic, had him inspect it, and basically what they said to me on the phone, they were very nice to me. They said, you know, between you and me and the fence post, you, me, and the fence post, he said I wouldn't buy this vehicle. So he told me right up front, he said, don't buy this vehicle. It was just too old, had too many things wrong with it. So automotive technicians, mechanics, aka mechanics, will give you good information. So it's $100 well spent when you're buying a vehicle. Bridget, thank you for this live stream. It's super helpful, and you are most welcome, my friend. Mallory, what is the one driving mistake that drivers can make on a road test? Excellent question. Thank you for that, Mallory. And Mallory does know the answer to this question, but she's reminding me what I should tell other drivers. Shoulder checking. Shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. Okay? There are two ways that you can fail a driver's test. Thank you for prompting me on that, Mallory. Two ways that you can fail a driver's test. You can accumulate too many points, or you can fail automatically. Points is you get points for minor errors and major errors. Minor errors are deviating in your lane, you might get 5 points. Too wide on a right turn, you might get 5 points. Those are minor errors. Major errors are you deviate into an oncoming lane of traffic. That's 20 points, okay? Most tests are 35 points, and then you fail the test, okay? So that's what you need to do. And exactly what Sam just said. Failing is a bad word. We didn't fail. We simply had an unsuccessful attempt. We only fail when we give up and we go home and we curl up in a fetal position and we stay there for the remainder of our lives. That's the only time we fail, okay? We don't fail. We just had an unsuccessful attempt, and we're going to go back and we're going to do it again. All right, so shoulder checking, shoulder checking, shoulder checking. You must shoulder check 2 times every time you change directions of the vehicle. All right? Lane changes, turning, shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check. Get that down. The other piece was somebody said to me they didn't know what the other slow speed maneuvers were. 2-point reverse turn. A 2-point reverse turn is when you drive past a road and then you back around a corner. It is a requirement in the state of Kentucky to do a 2-point reverse turn. U-turns, you simply drive down the road, turn, and go back in the direction that you came. 3-point turns, you have to know how to do a 3-point turn. Most driving tests are going to require that you do a 3-point turn, okay? So basically the road is too narrow for you to do a U-turn, so you basically drive across, back up this way, and then go in the opposite direction. It's a U-turn with an extra step in it, so you have to know how to do a 3-point turn. 3PO, I've been trying to think entrepreneurially, but I think this also applies to learning to drive, and I think Rick would agree. You only really fail if you give up. Absolutely. Thank you, 3PO. That is absolutely right. David, isn't speeding on a road test or charging a pedestrian or trying to beat a light on a yellow automatics? Yes, they are. Speeding, not so much, not right away. If you do it consistently, then yes, you will fail. Keep in mind that for the purposes of a driver's test, your speed control is tied into your forward scanning pattern. So you're looking far down the road, checking your instrument panel, far down the road, center mirror, far down the road, left wing mirror, far down the road, right wing mirror. It'd be opposite for you guys because you're on the other side of the camera. However, so your forward scanning pattern is changing every 10 to 15 seconds, and every 10 to 15 seconds you are checking your instrument panel, so you should be adjusting your speed every 10 to 15 seconds. For the driving examiner, if you're not adjusting your speed every 10 to 15 seconds, that's telling him or her that you are not observing correctly. So it's two things combined. That is what is telling the driving examiner. So make sure that you're adjusting your speed every 10 to 15 seconds. If you go 5 miles an hour over, that's probably a little bit too much. I think Sam would agree with me on that. If you're 2 or 3 miles an hour over or under the speed limit, you could probably get away with that if you only do it for about 10 or 15 seconds. Again, comes back to tied into your forward scanning pattern. All right. Kira, is it okay to let this wheel slide through hands to straighten wheels after turning during a test? Yes, it is, Kira, but you have to keep your palms in contact with the steering wheel. And Corey will put up the video for you on steering a car. As long as your palms are in contact with the steering wheel and it slides through your palms and then you simply close your fingers, yes, you can do that. You don't have to manipulate the steering wheel back. Elevator fan, I've seen truckers block the left lane squatters. Yes, they will do that. And the other thing that truck drivers will do when they're moving through construction zones is that they will sit side by side to hold up the traffic behind them from passing, because they get in stop and go traffic, stop and go traffic, stop and go, stop and go. And for truck drivers, it's really, really hard work. It's a lot of work. So what happens is two trucks will sit beside each other. They'll be in like third gear and they'll be running like at 25 or 30 miles an hour. And they'll be just moving traffic along at a constant speed. So that's what they'll be doing. All right. Klaus, that was back in 2016. The Golf had about 200,000 kilometers on it, which is about 160,000 miles. Me and my mom had the Audi A6 Avant, bought in 1997. The car was good maintained, and a fun fact, grew up in this great car. Yes, awesome. And I love my Tracy's Audi. I love driving. It's a great car. Underworld, hi Rick, I'm going for my G test tomorrow of my own car and was wondering what to bring with me. Driver's license, registration. If you wear prescription glasses, bring your glasses. Okay, bring money with you because it will cost you to take your test. And when you're successful in passing your test, there'll be a cost for administering your license. Now, you're taking your own car. Go down and vacuum your car tonight if you have time. The car washes, usually most of the vacuums are free. Do an inspection on your vehicle. Make sure that the brake lights are working, the turn signals, the seatbelt works on the passenger side of the vehicle. Make sure that you have the insurance and the registration. Make sure that you have ample fuel for your driver's test. You don't want to run out of fuel on your driver's test. All right, check all the fluid levels under the hood, okay? Check the oil, check the radiator, check the power steering fluid. What else is under there? The automatic transmission fluid, okay? Check all the fluid levels, make sure everything's up to snuff and whatnot, because you don't want to be denied your driver's test because something's not working. I've had students over the years who've been denied driver's test. They had a brake light out. The seatbelt on the passenger side didn't work. The vehicle's unsafe for whatever reason. Registration not valid. So make sure all of that is there before you go down for your driver's test. Okay, you're going to do awesome. Remember to breathe, because fear is simply excitement without breath. Okay, there you go. So if you're not breathing, you're all excited and hopped up on adrenaline, and it's fear. If you start to breathe, it turns fear into excitement, and you can calm your body. So remember to breathe when you're taking your driver's test tomorrow, and good luck on that. You're going to do awesome. And again, if something happens, some driving situation that you can't deal with, simply stop the vehicle, wait for it to change, and then proceed. The other piece is, if you make a mistake, don't freak out on the mistake. Oh my God, and blow the rest of the test. Just take a breath. I can do this, and keep going until the driving examiner tells you to stop, because the driving examiner may not have even seen the mistake that you made. All right. Epic, when you are taking a road test with a driving school, get used to a different car, because some of them actually use an electric or hybrid car different than fuel. An example, those at four-wheel. Yes, so some driving schools are going to be using hybrid cars. They're now going to be using electric vehicles, and they're going to accelerate and brake quite differently than an ICE vehicle. Internal combustion engine, ICE, an ICE car. Such a cool acronym, ICE. It just makes them sound cool and not as unenvironmentally friendly as all the electric advocates would like us to think. All right, Michael, hello. I have a question. Is a person who is on drugs as equally as dangerous as one who is being drink driving? It depends on the medication or illegal substances that they're on, Michael. And there's just a whole list of side effects, so it's really difficult to answer that question. But there are other things that are equally dangerous. I mean, over-the-counter prescription medications are just as dangerous as illegal drugs and paraphernalia and those types of things. Fatigue, distractions, all of those can make other drivers dangerous. And this is why we need to maintain space in front of our vehicle, 4 to 5 second following distance, and stopping in traffic. So we're 1 vehicle length away from the vehicle in front. All right. Maru, I didn't pass on the first try. I was wondering how to do shoulder checks or head turns when merging the bike lane and turning left or right when the light's green. I want to get better at it all. Awesome, Maru. Corey will put up the video for you on shoulder checking. Have a look at that, and that will help you out with your driver's test and getting that observation down so you can be successful on passing your driver's test. Elevator fan is waving on another driver an automatic fail on a driver's test. I don't think it's an automatic fail, elevator fan, but it is something that I would not recommend that you do on your driver's test. It's something that happens, and it might happen. Another driver doesn't understand the rules at a two-way stop sign intersection, for example, and they wave you through. Be very cautious about those types of things. Going back to my bicycle, where there's an intersection where you come out of the jiu-jitsu club, and right at the intersection is a crosswalk. Okay, it's technically a T intersection, but there's a road on the other side that comes out of a residential area that doesn't have a whole lot of traffic on it. And inevitably, I'm sitting there on my bicycle waiting to make the left-hand turn out of this side street, and cars will come along and they're like, oh, there's a cyclist and there's a crosswalk, we need to stop. And it just drives me crazy when cars do that, because now I have to move out and hope that all of the traffic on coming both directions has actually come to a stop. It's actually safer if the cars just go past instead of waiting for me on my bicycle to get out and around. It's one of those little things, one of my pet peeves of riding my bicycle when people try to help me out. You're not helping me out. You're actually making the traffic situation more dangerous. It's like when I'm a pedestrian and I'm trying to cross the road and traffic's coming from both directions. And on one side, the traffic stops, but you're not really sure whether the traffic is going to stop on the other side. They do it all the time here when we go to school in the morning with the kids. It sets up an unpredictable situation because you're not sure whether the other oncoming lane of traffic is going to stop. And so this is the other piece about passing your driver's test and being a safer, smarter driver, is to be predictable on the roadways. And I said something about four-way flashers at the beginning. Yes, I put up a quiz question about when to use your four-way flashers. And I don't know, I'm sure there's some, I'll have to put it up in one of the shorts, but how many people saw the Twitter video with the police officer wearing a body cam? They're at a scene of a crash, and there's a tow truck with the deck like this, parked on the side of the road, like on the inside, and this driver comes along, hits the deck truck, and launches their vehicle like the Dukes of Hazzard. And so people are like, when you pull over on the side of the road to answer a phone call, you don't have to put on your four-way flashers. And I'm thinking, if some person driving a car is so unaware that they launch their car off a tow truck deck with all the police vehicles sitting around with their lights activated, the lights on the tow truck, I'm like, I'm going to put my four-way flashers on anytime I'm sitting on the side of the road. Okay? So, if you're on the side of the road, you're doing something unpredictable, you're looking for an address, you're driving slow along a residential, put your four-way flasher lights on. If you're pulled over for a driver's test due to an emergency vehicle, put your four-way flashers light on to indicate to other traffic in and around you that you're doing something unpredictable. All right? Klaus, I think you have 4 or 5 hours to do the test on the Autobahn. Okay, excellent. Jake, we have 2 neighboring towns in Troy. They stop till you walk. In Pequi, you walk till they stop. I don't know. I don't trust cars that much. Like, I weigh 180 pounds, a little bit more. And, cars weigh 2,200 to 4,500 pounds if it's a pickup truck. I really don't want to be hit by a car. Okay? Sam, when I was a transit bus operator in the meetings we had, they always mentioned to not wave on other drivers to go. I don't recommend it either. Yeah, and I don't recommend it either, Sam. But sometimes other drivers are going to do that for sure. Mallory, as a smart passenger, I enjoy learning about driving and the skills needed for driving, and that's awesome. Thank you, Mallory. Thank you. Excellent. Klaus, have students in Canada take lessons in the dark in the night? You must have at least 5 hours in the dark before you go for your driver's test. In Germany, no, it is not a requirement of taking your driver's test here in North America. You do not have to demonstrate or prove that you have done any night driving. And this is another reason why I tell drivers that are going for a driver's test, know how to turn on the headlights, know how to turn on the high-low beams, because if you don't, it tells the driving examiner that you don't have a great deal of driving experience and that you haven't driven enough to drive in the dark. I mean, that's pretty easy not to do in the summertime because it gets dark so late. But, weather, you have to have defrost on so you can clear the fog off the windshield or turn on the windshield wipers. All of that stuff indicates to the driving examiner that you don't have a great deal of experience if you can't turn on those secondary controls. So know how to do that for the purposes of your driver's test. Sam, those quiz questions are nice to have now. I'm glad YouTube added them. I'm going to start using it often. Sam, those quiz questions, I have had incredible engagement with those quiz questions. I mean, incredible engagement. And funny story about yesterday's quiz question. I put up a quiz question and I asked what was a single solid line. What does that mean? You can pass with caution. And somebody said, oh, I'm from Florida. And of course, if I can't readily justify the answer in the handbook, I'm not going to put it up. Okay. Now, there was some stuff on Google that said that, yes, they do have these in Florida. But in Florida, they put dotted lines, a single dotted line down the center of the road. However, from an engineering point of view, that doesn't seem practical because when they repaint the lines on the road, they're not going to be able to hit those exact measurements every time. And you know what road painting crews are like. They really don't care. But they don't have them. I'm sure they do. I'm sure I've seen them in the state of Florida when I was driving there, but it was 30 years ago, so I can't remember. I couldn't easily verify it, so I had to pull the question down and then just put up another question. Yesterday was a bit of a fiddling around to get the question actually right, but I've had really good engagement from those quiz questions. Jake, when you get your permit, we had to sign an affidavit certifying night driving. Okay, was that for your CDL, Jake, or was that for your car license? Reactions, can you use cruise control? You can use cruise control, just don't use it on your driver's test, okay? Do not use cruise control on your driver's test. Marion, including someone that got all mixed it up. Yep. Yeah, and then we had a huge explanation. Marion asked a question, and there was like somebody wrote a small novel on answering her question, which I think just confused the point even more. So there you go. So four-way flashers. There was something else I wanted to talk about in terms of a driver's test. Okay, so the four components, two ways that you're going to fail a driver's test. So just wrap this up here. Too many demerit points, automatic fails. Automatic fails. Corey will put up the video for you on automatic fails and common mistakes on a driver's test, because you're going to get assigned demerit points for minor errors, major errors, and then automatic fails. Entering an intersection you can't clear, not coming to a stop when you can do safely on a yellow light, not stopping for emergency vehicles. These are all automatic fails. And again, Corey will put up the video for you on unexpected events on a driver's test, because turning right on a red light, that may only happen now and again when you're doing your driver's test. Okay, so be aware of those unexpected events on a driver's test. Corey put those up for you. Rashida, yes, you can drive with your baby in the car on a learner's license. I think that's what you're asking me. You can drive with a baby in the car, but you can't take them on your driver's test. Okay, don't take your kids, your babies, Woofy, the dog, the cat, those types of things. It's just in North America, it's just you and the driving examiner. Now, I know that in parts of Europe and different places, Klaus might be able to confirm this for me, that the driving instructor, your driving instructor, actually goes with you as well, with you during the driving test. But here in North America, it's just you and the driving examiner, nobody else in the vehicle. So leave everybody else at home. You're going to have to get a sitter or whatnot. Yes, don't be polite, be predictable. Exactly. Does it come in green? How long are most driving tests? Okay, so if you're taking your driver's test in a big urban center like New York City, 8 to 10 minutes. smaller places, rural areas, and those types of things. When I went with Charlie, it was a rural setting. They weren't that busy. It was a 45-minute test, so it's going to depend on where you take your driver's test. But most, on average, are going to be about 20-25 minutes is the actual driving part. Now, you got to add in the 10 or 15 minutes for the pre-trip inspection, checking in, those types of things. So it can be a little bit longer in different places and whatnot. Close students have to drive about 5 hours in the dark before the test. That is stupid. I remember driving first time in the dark. Yeah, driving in the dark can be a little bit more interesting. All right, I have no idea where Puppy went. Striker, come on. I probably can't find Puppy for puppy time because he went outside and I'm tethered to a microphone. So I can't go find him. Anyway, I will do that next time. Striker. Nope, not here. Sorry about that. He's not coming either. Of course, he's 6 months tomorrow. So Striker's not here. I do apologize for that. Vanilla, I didn't forget about you with the book. Come here. Oh, here he is. Come here. Come here. You got to go see your fans. There you go. There's Puppy. Hello, what were you doing? Were you getting into trouble out there? There you go. Over there. There you go. Stinky. There you go. Say hi to everybody. Hello, everybody. Okay, so it's his birthday tomorrow. He's actually 6 months old tomorrow, so puppy time. 6 months old. Underworld, you are most welcome, my friend. All right, if you passed the driver's test in the last couple of weeks, congratulations. Awesome, awesome news. If you have a test in the next week or so, good luck on that. Check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time Course Package over at the Smart Drive Test website. And if you have any questions at all, leave a comment down in the comment section there. Have a great night. All the best. Bye now.